So you're thinking about moving to Vancouver, Washington. And why not? Vancouver's a beautiful place to live. Sits on the river, close to the mountains, beautiful neighborhoods, beautiful parks. There's plenty of reasons why you would absolutely love living in Vancouver. But today we're not talking about the things that you'll love about living here. We're talking about the things that you will absolutely hate about living in Vancouver, Washington. So if you want to know some of the biggest reasons why people hate living here, stick around. What's up, everybody? Rick Anderson here with Anderson Homes Group and eXp Realty, and this is the Living in Southwest Washington channel, your go-to for information about relocating to Vancouver or anywhere here in Southwest Washington. Thanks for checking out today's video. We got some good stuff for you. We're going to get right into it, but before we do me a huge favor if you would. If you get any value from today's video, go ahead and hit that like button. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm. And if you'd like to see more content like this, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and tap that notification bell so you know the next time I put out a new video. Alright, so we're going to jump right into some of the reasons why you're absolutely going to hate it here. And we are going to start off with my biggest pet peeve, and most people's biggest pet peeve is going to be the cost of living. So you wouldn't really think Pacific Northwest, other than Seattle, that this is a really expensive place to live, but unfortunately, the prices here have just been skyrocketing. So housing price-wise, in July, our median sales price was about $550,000. So right there, middle of the road, for the average home, is going to cost you over $500,000. Now, a lot of the most popular areas here in the Southwest Washington area, Vancouver, Ridgefield, Camas, Philida, those are going to be some of your highest dollar areas where you could pick to live. Some of those areas you're going to be looking at a median sales price of around $600,000, $700,000, even $800,000. Another one of the big cost of living items right now that's killing everybody here is gas prices. So if you haven't been paying attention, you just know gas prices are up everywhere. Washington, unfortunately, right now has the corner on the highest gas prices in the country. Thanks in part to the cap and trade program that the Washington legislature passed this year, which added roughly about 40 cents a gallon tax to what we're seeing gas prices right now. So right now, for regular unleaded, it is not uncommon to see over $5 a gallon at a lot of the stations around here. Me personally, I bounce back and forth from using my fuel points at Fred Meyer to getting gas at Costco. Those are the two places in the area that seem to be the cheapest. Safeway gas stations might also be on the cheaper side, but I usually go to Fred Meyer. So gas prices have been killing everybody, and unfortunately, the Washington State Legislature is not doing anything to help us with that right now. They sold a bill of goods about how great this was going to be for the environment and how little impact that it was going to have on our pocketbooks. But guess what? Once again, politicians were full of shit and they lied to us. So now we're paying the price for that. And it's cutting out a lot of what people are doing as far as, like family road trips, things like that. It's just getting so much more expensive. Right now, like for me, I drive a Ford F-150 and I'm pushing about $100 every time I have to go and fill up. My wife drives a little Volkswagen Passat. You wouldn't think that's going to be too much. That's running us about $75 a tank to fill up. So gas prices right now in this area are murder. And another one of the big items that's hitting everybody in the pocketbook, not just here in Washington, but across the country, is the cost of groceries. So I've got a family of 4, got a teenager. I love to eat. The wife and I, the family, we love to cook. We love to eat, all that stuff. And groceries are ridiculously expensive. Now our average trip to Costco is probably running about $500-600, and then we still wind up having to supplement by going to Fred Meyer here and there, maybe once a week to get fresh vegetables, fruits, stuff like that. We are probably spending, I would just guesstimate, probably about $1,500 to $2,000 a month just on groceries. But yeah, so depending on your family situation, how many people you're feeding, your grocery costs could be right up there. And one of the other killers with, cost of living item, you've got sales tax, property taxes. Taxes in general here are going to hit you pretty hard. Sales tax alone here in the Vancouver area is right at like 8.7%. So, you're going to get hit with that on just about everything you buy. Most people around here, down here in the southwest corner, we always, we like to go jump across the river over to Portland for those big ticket items, to try and avoid the tax like that. Now, technically, I believe when you do that, you are supposed to come back to Washington and declare those purchases to pay your sales tax on that. I don't know anybody that's ever done that. Now, if you're not worried about what it costs to live here and you're ready to start looking for your new home in Vancouver or the surrounding areas and you're looking for a little bit of help, all you got to do is reach out anytime, call, text, email, schedule that Zoom call. You guys know how to get a hold of me. The information's all down below, and I love hearing from you, so don't be afraid to reach out, because helping people relocate to the Vancouver and Southwest Washington areas is what we do here. So we got your back with making the move to Southwest Washington. Okay, so moving on to the next item on our list of things that you're going to hate about living here in Vancouver, it's got to be the weather. So the weather is one of the biggest complaints that people have about living here. I've heard, this Washington be referred to as the gray sky capital of the world because, probably about half or more of our year is going to be gray skies, cloudy, cold, drizzly. Vancouver itself sees about 42 inches of rainfall a year. It's kind of a give and take thing, because one of the benefits of living in this area where we get rain, we get everything, we get all of the seasons. You're going to experience everything. Summers are going to get a little warm. Falls are going to be, cool, crisp. Winters, cloudy, drizzly, cold, rainy. The occasional snowstorm, things like that. Springtime, it's going to rain a ton in springtime. So some years are better than others. Some years are worse than others. But yeah, springtime, you're going to expect a ton of rain living here. That's how we get all the beautiful green grass, keep those big tall evergreens nice and green. But, that's kind of the trade-off that we have for living in such a beautiful area. You can go down to sunny Southern California where everything is dry, desert, and ugly. You're not going to deal with the rain anywhere near as much as you will up here, but you're also not going to have as beautiful of scenery or as nice of a place to live. So that's kind of the trade-off that you have to make if you're looking at living up here. If you need sunny 70s to be happy, to, not get hit by that seasonal affective disorder, then this is not the place for you. So the weather is one of the biggest things that people hate about living here. I always hear people complain about the weather. Hell, even I complained about the weather in my early 20s. I had thought about moving to Vegas because I was sick and tired of the rainy seasons. I wanted to live someplace where it was sunny and nice all the time. That was until I went to Las Vegas for the first time. And holy shit, this fat kid does not do that kind of heat. So that's what you're going to be looking at weather-wise. For a lot of us, I'm an outdoors guy. The weather doesn't bother me because we throw on the Gore-Tex, we get out, we enjoy it. Hunting, fishing, hiking, whatever your thing is, you can still get out, enjoy the beautiful Pacific Northwest, enjoy the Vancouver area. You're just going to have to take some, precautions to keep yourself dry in the fall and winter time and spring. So moving on to the next item. All right, so next up on our list of things that you are going to hate about living here, and it's the amount of growth that the Vancouver area has experienced over, probably even just the past 10, 15 years. It has been pretty substantial. Now, as a lifetime resident, I have seen a lot of areas in the Vancouver area and all throughout Clark County go from being quiet rural farm towns to its, subdivisions as far as the eye can see. The city of Ridgefield is a prime example of that. Now, one of the other things that we tend to run into with the amount of growth and more people coming here is it pisses off a lot of the local people. So a lot of people, that are local here to the area, they want to benefit from the added conveniences, the grocery stores, the shopping centers, the things like that get built up. But one of the biggest reasons why those things get built up is the people that come to the area and the expansion that comes with that. Now, it doesn't take too far to look. You can just scroll through some of the comments on a lot of my videos, and you will see stuff from people that are pissed off that I do videos like this because they're trying to keep people from moving here. Now, you and I both know you're going to move here one way or the other, so I'm just trying to give you guys the information. But yes, if you're thinking about moving here, you need to be prepared for the amount of growth that this area is experiencing. Now, some areas are seeing it less than others, and we can talk about that more in detail if you want to. You can reach out, we'll have a conversation about that, and I can give you my thoughts on it. But yes, the amount of growth that we've seen in the Vancouver and the surrounding areas all throughout Clark County has been pretty substantial over the years. So, if subdivision living is cool with you, then it's not really going to be that much of an issue, because that seems to be one of the biggest complaints that people have is subdivisions everywhere, houses on postage stamp size lots, that everything's just packed in. If that's what you're looking for, then no worries. But if you are looking for, the more quiet, rural feeling, way of life, then that's going to be a more targeted search for you. All right, moving right along on our list of things that you are absolutely going to hate about living here, and that is the traffic. So, I know a lot of you people, especially folks that are coming up from California, you're going to tell me, we got nothing on you guys down there. And you're probably right. It was probably about 10 years ago, the last time I was down in Southern California. I don't ever want to do that again. That traffic was insane. It was ridiculous. It was horrible. But unfortunately, we're starting to get that way up here. Especially in the Portland metro area. Really, anymore, it doesn't seem to matter where you're going in the Portland area. Traffic is always horrible. Now, back over here on this side of the river, traffic is not as bad, but we're seeing I'm seeing a lot more increased traffic in areas that we didn't really see it before. So up in the North Clark County area, from Salmon Creek up to La Center, every time I go up that way now along I-5, the freeway always seems packed. Another big one is the amount of construction and development work that we have going on that impacts the traffic. Downtown Battleground, prime example. There's a ton of work going on right now at the intersection of Main Street and Highway 503. So, that's causing some traffic delays. Other developments, there's a big freeway sound barrier project along Highway 14 over in East Vancouver. That's causing a ton of traffic backup along Highway 14. So you combine the amount of development projects, road construction, things like that causes enough of an issue with the traffic. Now you throw in horrible drivers, which we have more than our fair share of. Great example here. A couple weeks ago, I was heading out, had just closed a deal for a friend of mine's sister. We were driving out to the gorge. It was me, my wife, my daughter, and from Ridgefield to Washougal, to eastern Washougal, we almost got killed 4 times by crazy drivers. So, a couple of semis that almost took off the front of my truck, a couple of cars that almost plowed into us crossing over the center line. Ridiculous. So, traffic, bad drivers, and probably one of my biggest pet peeves, roundabouts. They are putting those goddamn roundabouts in everywhere. Ridgefield is getting more and more of them. There's a couple newer ones down on Highway 14 in Camas and Washougal. I hate those things. I don't know anybody that likes roundabouts. They are a pain. So, but if you're going to live here, you're going to have to get used to them, because that seems to be the new road engineering craze, is adding roundabouts everywhere. So that's what you're going to be dealing with when it comes to traffic here. All right, next up on the list, and it's one that we've covered before in other videos, but it's the homeless situation that we've got going on here. So we, here in Vancouver, we're seeing a pretty good influx of homeless people coming up from the Portland area. Portland has been taking steps trying to, eliminate or at least curb, their homeless population. Oregon Department of Transportation has been putting out, huge boulders in sections where homeless camps have been known to be popping up. So they're doing what they can to eliminate a lot of that problem. And so we've been seeing a lot more homeless people coming over to this side of the river. Where we tend to see them most is going to be right close to the highways, Interstate 5, 205, SR 500, areas like that. But that is not, that's not the only thing that is causing the homeless situation here. Now, I don't really want to go too much into the overall causes, because one, there's nothing really I can do about it. But one big one is the cost of housing. So the more that rent goes up, I think I just read a figure the other day that the average 2-bedroom apartment in the state of Washington, it requires 2 times the minimum wage to be able to afford. That's pretty ridiculous. The last apartment that I had lived in by myself on a single bed apartment was $1,100-$1,200 a month. Now, those things are going for like $16-$17. 2-bedroom place, 18 and up, and 3-bedroom apartment, it's more than easy to break $2,000 a month. Now you start looking at renting a house, you can easily be in the you'll easily be in the 2,000s a month, and not unheard of to be 3,000 or 4,000 a month. So, that's pretty unrealistic for a lot of people to be able to afford that, especially on a single income or on lower incomes. So that has led to a lot of people being homeless as well. Now, generally speaking, the farther north and the farther east you go from downtown Vancouver and the city center area, the better things are going to get. But there still are areas like over in the Orchards area. There's been some pretty sizable homeless camps over in that area, and that's a ways from downtown Vancouver. But again, you also have I-205 running through there. So having homeless camps in those areas is not uncommon. But again, generally speaking, farther north and the farther east you go away from the downtown area, the better that's going to be. All right, so moving on from the homeless situation, but it is something that we kind of touched on, and that's going to be the crime situation here in Vancouver. Now, the crime rate in Vancouver is slightly higher than the national average. So we've seen crime on the rise here, in the past few years. And one of the biggest issues here in Vancouver is property crime. So property crime, I believe it accounts for about 2/3 of all crime in the state of Washington. Now, depending on who you ask, you're going to get a ton of different answers as to why crime is the issue, what needs to be done, what should be done. I'm not going to go into any of that. What I will tell you is, yes, property crime is a big issue, not just in Vancouver, but in all of the surrounding communities here in Southwest Washington. So even in, the quiet bedroom communities like Ridgefield or in Battleground, yes, you do have property crime. Hell, you have crime everywhere. I have lived in the country, I've lived in the urban areas, I've lived in the suburban areas. And the only time I was ever a victim of crime was when I was living out in the country. Same with my best friend. Same thing, for him. They had their house broke into one weekend when we were out on a hunting trip, and we came home, all their guns were gone. So, except for the ones that we had while we were out hunting. So, crime does happen anywhere. Now, can you take steps to mitigate, the potential of you being a victim of that crime? Absolutely you can, and you should. Another big thing that you can do is researching the areas where you're likely to be, become a victim of crime, whether it's, property crime or violent crime. Now, I have to be real careful about that because, I don't want to be accused of steering you to one place or another, but there are a lot of good resources, local resources that can help you with that. A really good one is the Vancouver Police Department's website has an online crime map where you can go through and you can research the different areas, what sort of crimes have been reported in those areas, and I highly recommend that you do that. So another good source of information is the Washington Association of Sheriffs and Police Chiefs. They put out an annual crime report, that covers the entire state of Washington. You can go through and break that down by law enforcement agency and see what's going on, in those specific agencies. But from my opinion, one of the big contributing factors is, one, law enforcement is understaffed in this state. Clark County itself, per capita, is the lowest staffed law enforcement agency in the state of Washington and might even be the nation. So that's been a big issue. Another big issue has been the Washington legislature tying the hands of law enforcement and basically making it to where they can't do their job. And we can talk more about that in, kind of the details if you want to hear more about it. But in my opinion, those have been some of the biggest issues and contributing factors as to why we're having these property crime issues, why stuff isn't getting dealt with. Now, I know everybody, we've all got our anecdotal stories, and I'm not taking anything away from anybody, but yes, crime is an issue, more specifically property crime, here in the Vancouver area. So, I don't see us being on any episodes of the First 48 anytime in the near future. Portland maybe, but not Vancouver. All right, guys. Hopefully I've given you some good stuff to think about with moving to Vancouver in the Southwest Washington area. Now, if none of this is stopping you from making the move here and you're looking for some help finding your new home that's going to be perfect for you and your family, or you just have some other questions about the area, stuff you want to talk about, feel free to reach out anytime. Call, text, email, schedule that Zoom call. You guys know how to get a hold of me, and I love hearing from you. Do me a favor real quick before we wrap this up. If you guys got some good information from today's video, go ahead and hit that like button. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm. Consider subscribing to the channel and tap that notification bell so you know the next time I put out a new video. That's going to wrap it up for us for today. So until next time, bye everybody.